Hey guys, welcome to our first ever podcast for All About Sports. This is going to be a weekly podcast where we'll be bringing you guys a lot of information about the world of sports and what's going around. To quickly introduce you guys to the hosts and the participants of this podcast, we have Mazhar, who is a big sports enthusiast, has been a sports content writer for Sports Kira, and currently, I think Mazhar, you're writing for a company in Africa. Am I correct?
Yes, I write articles for Sporty. That's one of Africa's leading sports websites. So
So
yeah.
there we go. We have Mazhar, who is a complete sports buff. We have Aniket, who is also a sports enthusiast and Arsenal supporter. And here is me, Shubham. I did my undergrad in sports management. Again, huge sports enthusiast, Man United supporter. And we have a fourth person, Rishabh, who unfortunately isn't hasn't joined us today, but in subsequent episodes he will be there. So to quickly dive in, we will start off with today's podcast, and we'll be covering the VAR, the controversies with the VAR, the different rule changes that have taken place, and our main focus is going to lie around the Premier League. So to start off with the VAR, obviously as compared to last season, one big change that has happened is now there is a pitch side monitors for our referees to use for their assistants. This was something like you guys must have already seen. It was something which was prevalent in different leagues, but the Premier League has adopted this season. And it will mainly be used only for red card decisions and penalties, not for offsides. Offside calls will be taken by the VAR match referee. Even talking about offside, uh, uh, it's become pretty strict now, and especially both the VAR and offside is now completely controlled by FIFA, and FIFA have set the strict rules and guidelines which every league has to follow. In fact, the Premier League, I believe, was trying to talk to FIFA and be a little lenient about the offside rule, considering how last season, like by small margins, it was given offside, but FIFA is like, no bullshit, man. Offside is offside. If it's offside, that's about it, and there's no debating that. Also, another thing with offside is this season onwards, even if a player is offside, the play will continue till the time the whistle is not blown. So players have to play to the whistle. They can't just stop playing. So that I think will be something that the players will have to get used to. Another big change is the goalkeeper. The goalkeeper fucking has to stay on the bloody line, and this was something so bloody annoying in United's first game of the season. So that is again a big rule change that has happened, and obviously handball. When it comes to the handball offense, that is also very frustrating. But and FIFA has made it very clear that handball will be from the shoulder joint till the armpit line of the player. So again, a lot of new rules have come in. Football is becoming super strict, and with technology also coming in, the landscape is changing very quickly, and that is something that today we guys are going to talk about and get into straight away. And I can't think of any better game to start than what happened yesterday, Brighton versus United. Oh my fucking god! The penalty decision that was given after the whistle was blown, that was mind blowing, man. For United to get into that game where we were pretty much thrashed, and honestly, I don't think we really deserved to win. But then to make it 3-2, it just shows how VAR can actually like change things up. And me being a United fan, I'm very happy it happened. But I can just imagine it must have been really frustrating for Brighton, man, and all anti-United fans.
Me being a United fan again, I agree completely. VAR helped us, and it was beneficial in the end. Of course, a lot of question marks before that incident itself, with Pogba bringing down Connolly. Um, I think that was a penalty. I think Pogba very well knew what he was doing. There was slight contact between with I think it was his knee that hit the back of the thigh. But obviously in the replays that wasn't clear enough. Now my question regarding that is, it said that VAR would reverse decisions based on clear and obvious errors. That is the actual literate term, right? So my question was that a clear and obvious error by the referee? I don't think so. So from a neutral standpoint, I think United got away with that one. In fact, even Rio Ferdinand on BT Sport after the match said the same thing and had the same opinion that that was a penalty. Of course, you can pick your sides depending on uh, whatever benefits you, and that's the thing about VAR, and that's why it's so debatable and so contentious. So I feel like United got away with that, but as for the final penalty decision, it was spot on. That was a clear handball.
I tell you what, bro. I kind of disagree with you. At least the Pogba's incident, I think it was a good call that the referee went to VAR and changed it, because I think what's happening now is because how the attackers, they know that defenders are going to be like super careful in the box. I feel he like almost like put his body in Pogba's way, and Pogba, if you see in the reaction, he put his hands up. He was trying to control himself. But when you're already running at speed and
Which
someone comes in your way, what's going to happen?
I
which
I
is
I
fair
agree with that.
gamesmanship, which is fair gamesmanship on the attacker's half, right? I am going to run across your body if I am trying to cut in and score a goal. I will intentionally run across your body so that your legs and mine collide. If you don't get the ball, it's a pen. I mean
I agree.
that is going to be an attacker's intent. So the amount of gamesmanship has definitely gone up if you are going to make runs into the box, because these are the kind of calls which get given
The
over
sad
the
thing
last few
is,
seasons.
it's it's always it's always an attacker's game. So it's nice for I mean it's nice that the defender got the call according to me for a change, but I think Pogba was not innocent at all there. I think he very well knew. He put his hands up there. No one's going to put their hands up there trying to block a guy from scoring, literally, for a clear-cut chance. So all I'm saying is, if there is contact and the referee's already given the decision. See, according to me, whatever the referee chose in the beginning should have stood, is my opinion in Pogba's case. Had the referee not given a penalty also, I would have agreed. I can see both sides. I'm just saying they just broke that entire concept of the simple VAR rule. If there was a clear and obvious error by the referee, then only should it be reversed. Yes, now you mentioned the referee review areas come in and now they can literally go and review their own decisions on the screen. But if they themselves are not sticking by those rules, I just don't see there being any sort of uniformity or any sort of way forward where they progress in a systematic way, because otherwise there'll always be things that will be open for debate like this. There still will be decisions that will go
Yeah,
like
and
where
like
you
and
have
like
50-50 choices.
yeah,
So
absolutely.
that's my
And
take.
specifically talking about rules, I think the rules have become so strict where, like for example, if you see opening game of the season, United Crystal Palace, Lindelof was given a penalty because the ball hit his hand, which was I think less than a meter away. I think now I just feel attackers will be using this to their benefit. They'll just hit the ball on the defender's hand, and that will be penalties. And I think these kind of penalties will just be like, these will be unnecessary penalties. Yeah, this will just take the
But
fun away from the game and become harder for defenders. And
I
I
agree,
don't
but
think that's
Shubham,
fair.
agreed. But again, now in this case, this was not a handball. A handball's a different ball game. We'll definitely go in depth into handballs,
I'm
I
just
think.
saying for Pogba's case, I can see your view on that. I'm not denying that, but I'm just saying like the rules have become so fucking strict that like attackers, they will, the easy way out is hit the ball in the hand, and then
Yeah.
the VAR decision will be there, and that's a penalty. And
I think
that's like
Jordan
that's
Ayu's case
possible.
was that. So that the fact that
Yeah,
you're saying that, I think Ayu was it seemed like he was just aiming for Lindelof's hand because
yeah.
that was the best option. That was the easiest option. And let's not forget, these are elite players in the top tier of English football. They can probably hit a guy's hand whenever they feel like.
Of
That's
course,
literally the
easily.
level they play at. So lots of question marks into handball. If you want to dive right in, let's do that. But what I'm trying to say is it's already been an attacker's game, and now they've just made it so much harder to be a defender that I'm worried if going forward people will want to be defenders. It's reached that type of a thing. Of course, it's a scary sight. I would hate to be a defender in the
Anyways, it's pretty sad for fucking defenders because defenders never win the Ballon d'Or, and now you can't even defend properly because these fuck all rules. It's just going to be insane, man.
man. Credit to Van Dijk. As much as I may hate the guy for being
Yeah,
a Liverpool player,
yeah.
the guy won it. So
But I tell you what, like before we guys like get deeper with VAR and rules, there's something that I'd like to share with you guys. So I was just doing like a little analysis of what had happened. So I want all the people watching this to have a quick look at it. So here we have some teams. We have United, Bournemouth, Watford, Aston Villa, West Ham, Chelsea, Leicester, and Tottenham. And what were the VAR points that they got last season? So United got 7 VAR points. We ended the season with 66. Had we not got the 7 points, we'd have probably got 61. We'd have missed top 4 because we would have tied with Leicester. And there's a high possibility that on goal difference, we wouldn't have made it through. Chelsea would have finished third. In terms of relegation, I think Bournemouth and Watford would have still been relegated because VAR points would have made much of a difference, and Aston Villa, West Ham would have been safe, and Tottenham would have still been sixth. But United, I'll specifically touch on United because last season we got a lot of penalties. 7 VAR points, that's a lot of points, and we could have possibly missed out on top four. So it just goes to show how VAR last season has had like a major impact, at least on United and definitely all over the league. So I just wanted to bring this up to point it out about how VAR has changed the game. And now I think we, like, you guys, if you guys have any specific incidents that you guys want to bring up, let's just get into it, man.
Before we go into some contentious calls, it's already, I mean, VAR did have a massive impact last season, but it's already had as big an impact in this season itself. Okay, there have been 82 goals, which is massive. Okay, game week 2 had 44 goals. There have been 82 goals, of which 17%, 14 were penalties. Now you can understand a lot of those penalties were given for these contentious handballs, which is kind of like a rule change where you've gone from is the hand moving towards the ball, or is the hand of the defender in an unnatural position, to has the ball hit someone's arm. So it's gone from arm to ball. It's gone from arm to ball to hand. So if the ball struck someone's hand, they've given penalties, which is absurd if you ask me. I think Roy Hodgson covered it very well after the Palace versus Everton game, where he said it's kind of taking the fun out of the game for him, and he can't believe how, the players, managers, coaches, the league has let it happen. Like such a rule change, which is going to drastically alter how games are played out. And it's not, I mean, you need to have football people at least passing over these rules, right? You need someone who actually is involved in the day-to-day of the game to look over how this is going to have an impact. And I mean, such a seasoned veteran saying something, I mean, it's not just because it's gone against his team. I think he could say it for, or we all could say it for every team. I mean, it's just a mess of a rule, if you ask me.
Yeah, I think the perfect example of what you just said, Gui, was the Chelsea game. And in fact, not the Chelsea game. Let's talk about the Palace game itself, because the ball hit Ward's hand. Everton were awarded a penalty. There was a similar incident where I don't remember who shot the ball for Crystal Palace, but it went off Calvert-Lewin's hand.
Yeah,
and it was the same. It was practically the same incident.
It wasn't, because I'll tell you why it wasn't. Because Calvert-Lewin was further back. He was further back. If anything, Calvert-Lewin was more of a penalty. But like the only reason anyone could come up with was his arm was closer to his body. But
exactly,
I mean, how far was Ward's hand off his body? It wasn't that far, right? So
he didn't even have the time to react, like you said.
True. I mean, it's gone from the intent being a mental aspect to intent being defined by how your arms are placed. I mean, is this
unnatural movement and natural movement just made so much more sense.
I'll agree with that. Just defining it that way was so much more easy. It would have been at least more consistent. But how they've tried to improve the consistency is giving everything a handball. It strikes the hand, it's a penalty. But it's not, right? You need to think about the intent, and intent is definitely more mental as opposed to if it just touched your hand from 2 yards away when the ball was struck really hard. We can't do much about this.
So I just wanted to bring you, Shubham, in for this itself. I know you brought back those points lost and gained. Of course, United gained the second most points. I think Brighton earned 1 point more than United through VAR over the season. But one major aspect that was left out there was the points which were the 2 points which, or rather the 1 point that Villa gained and the 2 points that Sheffield lost in that
abysmal
incident. So yeah, so
I was just thinking from United's point of view, because had we probably not got the 7 points from VAR, we would have missed out on top four. And missing out on top four is like what, 100 million you lose from Champions League. So that would have been massive amount of financial loss for United. And I think, I'm not 100% sure, but Adidas also had a clause in their contract that if United don't
Yes.
finish top four, then their sponsorship money also goes down. So
Yeah,
those
yeah.
several
So,
VAR points has actually saved us at least financial ass.
and we
And
still
considering
haven't
that it's
bought Jadon
COVID going
Sancho.
on, yeah, man. Oh, dude, let's not get into that. Man. Let's not get into that.
So
That is
yeah,
so fucking annoying.
yeah, but you're
But
so
yeah,
you're so right. As a United fan, we can't complain about VAR. It's definitely helped us to get calls. And okay, I think the only one call that United got last season that wasn't actually a penalty was the one where Bruno was, where he spun around and then he was stripped.
yeah,
So
against
that
Tottenham,
was the
correct.
only one.
He
But
Yes.
what do
basically
you think
kicked a
what do you
player and
think
got
of
a
the game
penalty.
against Liverpool? What do you think of the game against Liverpool where Rashford scored, but before Rashford scored, Origi was fouled?
I
That also should have been turned around, I guess.
don't bring up Liverpool because I can just there is complete frustration because they've had so many games where they were fortunate enough through those
Yeah, of course,
decisions.
of course.
The City game as well, where Alexander Arnold handled the ball, wasn't given. They broke on the counter and scored.
See,
So
in fact, talking about the Liverpool game, that is something I'd like to bring up where we scored, but possibly so this was the goal. What a run by James! I think that was one of his finer moments last season. Now this was
Right.
the foul that just happened before the goal, where possibly VAR should have turned it around here, and then this led to a quick counter and it led to a goal. But it didn't. But VAR ruled it in our favor. So
I didn't see this as a foul. I thought it was very soft. I think he was buying it. That was my first opinion of it when I saw it as well.
well, I thought it was pretty much a clear-cut foul. And last season there are a lot of moments where VAR has actually ruled out goals because of a foul in the build-up to play. So out here, I think United were fortunate. So that's what I'm saying. This level of consistency is not there. Either it's problem with the match or with the way how referees are trained, or every referee interprets it differently. So because that consistency is not there, it becomes unfair for certain teams, and that definitely leads to a lot of major decisions happening and losing points.
Very similar to what happened with Chelsea yesterday. I still don't understand how Havertz that wasn't given a handball. I understand the rule that the IFAB has set, saying that if it's not immediately like it's not directly like the instant play leading to the goal, then it's not in the purview of VAR. That's what it is. I don't have the exact words or the wordings for what the rule is, but the point, yeah. So it's basically accidental handballs by an attacking player is only penalized if it occurs immediately before a goal or a goal scoring opportunity. This was literally he handled the ball fell, that person passed it, goal. So how was that not an immediate goal scoring opportunity, or how did it not create that is just beyond me. That's what I'm trying to say. There's complete inconsistency in their decision making.
Yeah,
uh,
totally. That's frustrating. That's really frustrating. Not only for the players, even for like for the fans. It's very frustrating. Obviously,
it's,
it becomes great controversy. So it's a good pub debate and banter and all of that. But at the end of the day, it's fucking frustrating because there's no level of consistency.
I would hate to be a West Brom fan because firstly they're going to be fighting for relegation. It's
Yeah.
100% the case. They lost out on two valuable points. Those 2 points could literally be the difference in their season when they look
Easy,
back.
Absolutely.
easily. I mean, you think about it. Villa and Bournemouth last season, it was what
Oh yeah,
about a point or 2 points because of that game against Aston Villa. If Aston
exactly.
Villa lose those two, they are level on points, Bournemouth and Villa. So I mean, these things for a team like West Brom, it means just so much more. If to lose two
Yeah,
points because of a contentious, I won't call it bad, contentious or debatable call by VAR. That's something which, well,
I remember Aniket
consistency is.
before we got onto this podcast,
Mhm.
when we were on call, you were like, there were a lot of different incidences that you were talking about, and you were telling
Yeah,
me, "Arey,
yeah,
there are so many incidents that have happened last season, and it's been so frustrating."
there are.
So why don't you talk us through some of those incidences now?
Okay, Arsenal fans, I will lead with one of those. Okay, Chambers was fouled in a run up to Socrates' goal. All right. If anything, VAR should have given him. I mean, when the VAR decision was being made, I was wondering whether it's for a penalty or not, and I'm like, why? It's already a goal
To all the Arsenal fans, please relive this moment.
again. Okay, there are several angles to this video. I don't know what Chambers has been exactly given a foul for over here. It's 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 a scuffle. I mean, the ball pops out. That's about it. The ball pops out to Socrates. He finishes it. This is a foul for Palace apparently. Wow, great, amazing. It ruined my day, and I mean the way the season was going for Arsenal, this would have meant a lot. Can you imagine this? What I still it just it boils my blood. Is a very very toned down way of saying what some of the calls are, and to have made results for certain teams, like even Bulls versus Liverpool, right? Pedro Neto was caught offside by maybe the size of his big toe. That's about it. That's about it. And that turned away the goal which leveled it for Wolves. That so
But
Liverpool continued to lead. I mean, they scored a banger of a goal. He was offside by this just his big toe. Even Lundstrom, I'm
but
telling you,
Gui,
Lundstrom against
that
Tottenham.
was a big
That
toe,
was
right?
that was. I mean, it. I was like, God, for a side which is newly promoted. Okay, I get Chris Wilder and his side are doing so well, but it would have meant so much for them to have that goal. But you've asked them to. I mean, sorry, you've basically denied them a brilliant goal. And okay, the Lundstrom pass wasn't even the final pass. I get that if you're offside at any point of time during the play, it invalidates everything which happens afterwards. But God, I mean, those calls hurt. Like being offside by something which can only be detected by drawing two lines which are probably a millimeter or two apart on a screen.
No, see, so what you're saying about the offside thing, I understand that it can get very frustrating. But in terms of offside, I think it's pretty black and white. Even if it's
Yeah,
1 millimeter
that's
or five
exactly.
millimeters or one foot, offside is offside.
Yep,
So
that's
I
they made it a yes or no question.
yeah, and I think
Either
that's
you're
great. I
offside or
think
you're
that's
not.
great. Yeah, I think that's great.
yeah,
To
I
be
do.
that black and white, I think
I
it's
agree.
perfect.
I think it's not something that you can have umpires call like in cricket for,
Yeah, yeah.
because there's a clear answer. There's no predicted path or something. You see the line, there's a clear line drawn. Obviously, they're not getting the line wrong in technology, at least I hope not. So, yeah, I think I agree with Shobham on that aspect. It's something that all teams have to suck up, and you can't even debate that.
Yeah,
Okay,
see, like
it
when
is
it
what
comes
it
to
is.
offside and when it comes to goalkeeper being on the line, that's the rule. You just have to stick to it and follow it, and there's no debate out there. The real debate that I think it is like for example, that we guys already touched upon. When is it like what's the intent of the player? Well, that is questionable. That is very hard for even the referee to judge. Like, what is the intent of the player to actually put his hand out? Is it too close to his body? Is it 1 meter away? So those things like that are controversial. But when it comes to offside and goalkeeper being on the line, I think that's pretty clear cut now.
I think there's one more controversial thing surrounding VAR, which is that it can't really button on yellow cards, which is
Ah,
strange, right? Okay,
Yeah.
suppose a player is already on a yellow, right? Incorrectly given a second yellow. You can't VAR, even if it's not a foul, and VAR can, well, the referees can see it, right? The referees could go over as much game footage as they want and stop play while they do it. But the VAR referees can't do this for some reason. Okay, not some reason because it's a rule, but it would change the game completely unless, I mean, the only time a player being sent off can be reviewed is when he gets a straight red, which is absurd. Why do two yellows not make a red? You're still going to have one man shot on the pitch, and it's going to change the game for good from that point on. So it's kind of contentious for me to have such a rule in place where a second yellow can't be reviewed by VAR.
I, I guess it just comes down to the fact that, you know, then every decision can be reviewed. So they are trying to stamp on that authority as well, saying that, you know what, this will slow down the game. We can't review everything like this, because then
Okay,
people
so
will be like, firstly, you shouldn't have got the first yellow card as well. So I think it just comes down to that. And the fact that he was indisciplined to get the first yellow card, maybe the mindset that, you know what, maybe he deserves a second yellow, so he's out. I'm just trying to say that
yeah,
this is
makes
the only
sense of what
logical
they are
No,
doing.
explanation.
in fact, talking about VAR right now, this just came from like on the top of my head. I think I'm not quite sure, so you guys will have to like help me in this. I think this rule is in cricket. Now, I'm not 100% sure how it is. In cricket, I think the captain or the team, they can ask for a third umpire review or something like that. Am I correct?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, so I
Yeah.
was, right now I was just thinking, why doesn't like both the teams be given like 2, 3 VAR options where in the match they can use the VAR like to call an offside or a red card or a penalty, and then the VAR is implemented instead of like this. This is just like crazy thought that came in my head. I just want to know what you guys think. What do you think? Like, would this be a better thing where the club captain or the team can decide that we want to take a VAR review, or should it just be like down to the referee?
I think down to the referee is better. I think, and my opinion on it is that way because if you have say 3 attempts at using the VAR services, the second your 3 are over, the other team's gonna have a field day with you, right? They, I mean, again,
But see,
not to
it's
say
equal for
that
both
the
the teams, right? Both of them
on-field
have 3 attempts.
referees, not to say that the on-field referees would be like super incompetent. The second 3 VARs are over, and all calls would go against the team who have exhausted their reviews. But I mean, just keep it as a constant all the time. Saves time, doesn't enforce a break in play where 3 players huddle up and discuss what happened. Because even if you think about it in cricket, you have time between 2 balls, right? So and the DRS review
Or you
has to
take
come
tennis for
with it.
that matter. Even if you take tennis for that matter, like players are it's down to the player to take the call.
Yeah,
So I think like when
but
you're talking about break and play,
yeah,
anyway when a VAR judgment is being taken place, there is a break and play. So
which
why
is
not give the
enforced by
rights to the team instead of the referee?
which is enforced by the officials. All right, now if the players would, okay, 85th minute, you're down 1-0, or maybe you're level, you're a team in the relegation zone. This 1 point means a lot to you. Every time someone tackles you, you're going to take like a all 3, 4 of your players and would discuss and then maybe say, okay, I don't make a call. I don't need VAR. That's time wasting, right? That's gamesmanship. But again, to think that you would add already, if last towards the end of last season, you saw like the rise in amount of stoppage time, 5 minutes, 6 minutes, 7 minutes. Of course, that's because of
Those 10 minutes
break.
last night,
Yeah,
man.
yeah, exactly, exactly. So
And two
that's how it
whistles.
works. And 2 final whistles. So I don't think you can have a break in play in a sport which is basically 45 minutes end to end at a time. Tennis and cricket both have breaks in play between each point, each ball. So maybe you could think about it, get like 3, 4, 5, 10 seconds. And of course, there's a time limit in both of those sports as well. Like you can call for a review in under a certain amount of time. You can't think over it.
And having said this, I want to bring Mazhar into this because I remember Mazhar was talking to me about talking to us about Everton versus United during the VAR decision. So would you want to shed some light onto it, Mazhar?
Everton versus United. Uh, I don't think it was Everton versus United.
Oh, sorry, I might be mistaken. What
Um,
was the one that you were talking
right.
to me about?
So the one I was talking about was the incident where Hawkeye failed, which basically cost Sheffield a chance or 2 points that could have been crucial for them to make the Europa League potentially, at least the knockouts or whatever, to have that chance. And it also saved Villa
Yeah.
in the end because it was one crucial point. That match ended up 0-0. So it was Ollie Norwood's cross that came in. Neelan pounced onto it at the far post, but the ball had crossed the line. Now it was so evidently in that it
He
was just beyond me that a person with his plain eyes couldn't see that go in.
forget
So
forget plain eyes and
It was
forget
this one,
box
right?
application.
Yeah,
Yep.
so you see Norwood whips the ball in, Neelan
He
jumps
has
on it, he's in the goal.
he has pulled himself out using the post. That is how far back in he was.
And I feel for Michael Oliver here because he trusted from his assistant referee. He didn't get it, which was shocking again. But it's so evident. Like anyone could have seen that that was a goal. And this is one of those times when technology failed. And the worst part about this incident is Hawkeye came out and said all 7 of their cameras that they have on the goal line were covered by either defenders
Yeah.
or by the goalkeeper or the goalposts. I mean,
It's an unprecedented amount of occlusion, if I'm not wrong, was what was in the statement post game. Unprecedented amount of occlusion. Okay, if there is that amount of occlusion, why is there VAR? I'm sure the VAR
That's the worst part, right? VAR should have played its role there and come in and stepped in and said, hey, listen, we just saw it. It's a goal. Give it a goal. VAR is following these strict set of rules as if it's the Holy Bible or something. And it doesn't work like that. I'm sorry. You literally
relegated aside. You
relegated aside. You saved the other one. And you cost a newly promoted side a chance of making Europe. It's not certain they would have made it even if they would have got those 2 points. But it just, I mean, mentally it affects anyone. They are humans as well. And it's 2 points lost for a team that was looking for Europe, and it's 1 point gained for a team that survived in the end. But Bournemouth will look back at that and say that, man, for none of our faults, it's like that. So,
and if you ask me, Bournemouth had like their first bad season in the Prem in the last 4-5 years. And it's just so sad for the team to have, which was 91st in the entire standings in England, made it to the Prem, survived 4-5 seasons, and then this is why you get relegated. I mean, of course, they were trash. Okay, throughout the season, they were plagued with injuries. They had like poor performance even when they had some of the best players on the pitch. But yeah, I mean, we are relegated aside, let's say.
Yeah, so guys, I mean, we've discussed all of these things, but I think we've missed out on one thing: the penalties, the goalkeeper rule. I have a lot. I think that's my biggest criticism of everything. The handball rule will always be a problem, but that's a universal problem. But I have a problem as of this goalkeeper staying on the line rule, simply because I feel like it's very unnatural movement for a goalkeeper. So it just makes it harder. And again, it's favoring the attackers. So I wanted you guys to...
Anyway, penalty is something that has always been, you can sort of say, like obviously it's 50-50, but it has always favored the attacker. But like what you said, I think that's bang on. It just makes it harder for the goalkeeper because the goalkeeper has no momentum. He's standing in one position, which is very static, and he has to just pick a side and jump. At least previously, he could like get in some momentum. Now I understand like the goalkeeper can't be like 2 feet in front of his goal and doing stuff like that. That is understandable. But being so strict about the fact that like you have to be on your line, 1 foot has to be on the line, it just makes it even more harder.
Yeah, feet on or above the line is what it is. And I think because the keepers can't get the momentum to go high enough, you're going to see a lot of penalties hit higher up. It's just going to be it. I think Richarlison hit.
Yeah, like definitely. This season, I think there will be a lot of penalties given.
And a lot scored.
Yeah, I think a lot of penalties will be given, and I think a lot of penalties will be retaken also. And I think some will be retaken also. Because it will be an adjustment phase for the players. They have to also get used to something like this. Like even the offside thing that you have to play to the whistle, you will have to get used to it.
I hate that rule. It just slows down the game so much. Just raise your flag and give it. I mean, it's just so, again, it comes back to it being so unnatural, and it's just so frustrating to watch. Like even when Rashford scored yesterday, I was celebrating and then I remembered, oh wait, hang on. So you can't even react and celebrate till you 100% know there's not going to be a review of a goal. So it really kills that emotion and that rush of blood that fans experience. Technology is good, but I think I would have preferred it to like that human error is good sometimes because more often than not, I think it balances out over the course of the season. Is my
See,
opinion.
that's what I've also like. See, one thing about football that I've always loved is that element of human error, and that is fine. You know, like till date, football has been played for so many years, and it was absolutely fine. Goal line technology, I think, was great, and I
Yeah.
think that was required. And VAR also, I don't have too much of a problem with it. Like especially when it comes to the offside rule, I think that is also good. But when it comes to like such like debatable decisions about handball and where the hand is and so on and so forth, I think that is killing the game away because like we discussed initially, players will use this as an advantage. Players will be cheeky about it. They will aim for the hand, and that will take the fun away from the game.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't find a way through a 5-man block, just whack it
Just
towards
smash it on
goal
the
and
hand.
hope. Yeah,
Just smash it on the hand.
hope for the best. Keep hitting it, rebound off, hit it again, rebound off, hit it again. Keep going.
I won't be surprised soon if we see the back four literally just standing with their arms at their backs and running
Yeah, yeah.
like headless chickens.
You know, this will
I'm
be
not
so interesting with Mourinho parking the bus and getting a penalty because it hit the hand.
highly
I think that would
likely.
be hilarious.
Highly likely. Yep. Yeah, but guys, I mean, coming back to the penalties aspect, I think you guys are so right. More penalties will be scored. Obviously, I think more penalties will be retaken as well, uh, as we saw in the case of De Gea, which was so unfortunate because he was like inches off the line. But I was just having a look at the Carabao Cup stats of the penalty shootouts that took place. Harrogate Town versus Tranmere 8-7. Arsenal Liverpool in the Community Shield 5-4, only one penalty missed. And that too, he missed the target. Brewster skied it. Leeds Hull 9-8. Two were saved, one was missed. Burnley Sheffield 5-4, only McBurney missed the penalty, which was saved. So what I'm trying to say is no one really misses penalties now with this new rule. You just need
No,
to hit the
absolutely.
target.
So in fact, what you're saying is spot on. VAR is going to further bring on a lot of controversy. I think we can probably have a lot of episodes on VAR. But yeah, VAR is controversial. We have to live with it. These are changing times. Some rules are good, but some of them are questionable. So let's see how the season turns out to be, and probably mid-season, end of the season, we can have another VAR review session. But yeah, to everyone watching, this was our thoughts on VAR. You guys, please give in your thoughts in the comment section below. Like, subscribe, share, and we'll be bringing another episode next week. Every week we'll be bringing something in, to discuss. And till then, guys, see you all.
You.
Aniket, Mazhar, nice talking to you all. See you all soon
Thanks,
next week.
Shubham. Thanks, Kui.